Hey, I'm Dirk from Airgunseurope.com, and today we're going to talk about the FX DRS MDT Pro. Especially this version, the 700mm version. This is the newest rifle from FX. If you've been into airguns, anything, you've probably really seen a lot of videos about this rifle right now. And the main features are already known. But the Pro version, the MDT version, was not on the market yet, and it was not really known what was going to come with the rifle, how it was going to be configured, and what you're going to get out of the box. And that's what I want to show you today. We just got this rifle in, like just an hour ago. And well, we already had the first order in from a customer, and he asked if I could mount the scope, and I thought, well, let's make a video in the meantime as well. So what do you get? Well, of course, the rifle, the DRS, the dynamic rifle system. We already had a very short video about it on the IWA in Nuremberg, the gun show, in which we showed this version, of course, and the classic versions, the synthetic and the two walnut versions. This version was not finished yet. They still had some tinkering on the chassis. So the version on the IWA was not the whole package that you were going to get, and they didn't really know how to bring it out yet. This version is different than the one on that video. So this is the overview of the first batch we actually got in. The idea from this rifle is that it was supposed to be easy to fit in a normal rifle chassis, a firearms chassis, or a firearms stock. To do this, they made a rifle that has the form factor of a normal firearm. And in that way, I mean a normal hunting rifle, firearm, whatnot. So I mean a barrel, an action, and a magazine. So if you take it out, it really has that form factor. Because of this, it's really easy to design a chassis around. So this chassis is the normal ACC Elite version from MDT that they changed just a little bit in order to allow this rifle to fit. Of course, if you have been into this rifle or FX airguns or any airgun as well, you've been probably reading like, oh wow, it's not a magazine, and well, they're right, this is not the magazine. This magazine is actually the plenum, and this means that this is filled with the regulated air that you actually use for your shot. The air bottle or the tube is around the barrel. This means that this is pressurized, the barrel inside it is under tension because of that, and when you shoot, it leaks a little bit of air down into the regulator. The regulator fills the plenum, and the plenum actually stops at the valve. You shoot, the valve opens, and that means that the air from the plenum goes into your barrel and you fire your shot. Because of the regulator in between, this means it has a reduced pressure, and the pressure is exactly the same for every shot, making the shot, well, almost, if it's tuned correctly, almost exactly the same as the previous shot, which results in very high accuracy, of course. The regulator is adjustable just as the hammer spring in order to tune it. This is the larger plenum, the SHP Slug High Power plenum with 63 cc's of air inside of it. All the versions of the rifle, of the classic rifle, either come with this one or the smaller one, depending on the configuration. The smaller one can also be upgraded to this one if necessary. You don't really need it, for example, if you're just shooting pellets or lighter slugs, but this does make it really optimized for shooting slugs. Coming to the main differences of this rifle and the normal classic version. The normal classic version has a normal pellet probe and a normal hammer weight. This one already has the DRS slug power kit fitted. This power kit, I have one right here, consists of a pin probe, allowing better airflow into the barrel, and has a tungsten hammer weight. This hammer weight is heavier than your standard hammer, allowing you to open the valve at even higher regulator pressures. So if the pressure here is too high for the normal hammer to open, this one has a heavy hammer that can still open it. Also, the barrel, usually on the inside you have your Smooth Twist X Superior standard liner. Right now it's fitted with the Smooth Twist X Superior heavy liner by default. This liner is optimized for shooting slugs. So out of the box, or well, as I should say, out of the case, this is already optimized for shooting those higher power slugs at these long distances, making this a really interesting rifle. As for adjustability, well, FX is known for really having adjustable rifles, and this one is no different, but there are no buttons on the outside, knobs that you can turn on accident or whatnot. It's all on the inside. If you take it out of the chassis, you can adjust your regulator pressure. More on that later. You can adjust your hammer spring back here. You can do it on an angle via a small insert right here. I would still advise taking it out of the chassis in order to change your hammer pressure, because your hammer tension, because else you have to get in from an angle, and most screws don't like that. As for, of course, the main feature of the show is, of course, the chassis made by MDT. MDT is really known in the firearms world for making really high quality chassis for firearm competitions like bench rest, PRS and whatnot. And this is the first one they have actually made for an airgun. This is a version of the most famous one, the ACC Elite Chassis, and it's highly modular. It has a barricade stop back here for, well, going against the barricade, if your rifle is well balanced. And right here we have mountains of M-lock slots going all the way to the front. And these M-lock slots allow you to mount accessories like, well, of course, your lights and lasers if you're into that, or weights, and that's the main feature. By mounting weights to these M-lock rails, you can change the balance point of your rifle, making it optimized for your shooting style in competition. So if you want, for example, a really heavy bench rest rifle, just fill it up with weights and make it a really like a 20 kilos rifle, whatnot. Will be really stable, really hard to carry around, but it's really stable. Or you can change the balance point that when you bounce against the barricade, that it balances right around your point of balance, which would be fantastic. On top there are little holes for mounting top rails, for mounting other accessories like night vision or thermal devices. On the bottom is an Arca switch rails for mounting for, well, in this case an Accutech, which is a bipod in general. Could be a tripod like a camera stand. It uses the same Arca switch. Sorry, uses the same Arca switch mounting on the top. And of course you can still mount, for example, like shooting bags with a clamping version on it. You can also mount on the end here a sling swivel like this one. It's all quick connect. So you can carry it around really easily, and when you start shooting and you don't want to have the sling in the way, you simply press the button and take it off again. These are the ones by UTG. This is the C loop. This is a little bit more easy to change the angle on. And this one is the normal loop for your normal leather sling. So as I mentioned, there is the Picatinny rails. I mounted the scope on top. On this rifle right now I have a Picatinny rail. This comes by default on the Pro version. The classic versions only have the dovetail. If you take rails off, you also have dovetail, if you want that. I would prefer this one, because this rail has a 30 MOA cant. This means that the scope is already angled downwards, meaning it is already set up for long-range shooting without using all the elevation of the scope, so you still have the full range of elevation. This is the high version of the rails. There's also a lower version. With the high version, that's really interesting actually. With the rifle you get the standard mini magazines. These are made especially for this rifle. This is really great on the classic version if you want to mount your scope really low. Also, if you have the low version rails, you can only use this magazine. With the Pro version, you get the tall one, you can actually mount, or you actually fit the larger side shot mega magazines that are also found on the FX Dreamline, the Maverick, the Wildcat, the Crown, whatnot. It will fit because it has a small cutout. One thing to note, there are two versions of this magazine. The old version and new version. The old version has on the lid there's only one O-ring. On the new version there are two. You can guess it, you can only use the new ones with this one, because else it will just fall out of the rifle. So if you have a mountain of these magazines laying around, do make sure you have the right lids fitted on them. The newer versions also have a little bit different way of rotating. It has like the ball bearing system. Really neat, but not the point of the video. It also has a larger cocking handle. On the normal DRS, the classic ones, you have the smaller ones that are also found on the Dreamline, for example. Quickly decock it. The safety is the same as on the Dreamline, for example. It's a really easy safety. Do note, if you change your trigger pressure, you adjust your trigger, you also have to adjust your safe. If you change your trigger, you can get these really light. If you change the trigger, it might be that your safety does not engage when you put it on safe. So you can still shoot it on safe. So do make sure you have that set correctly. On the chassis, of course, going back to the chassis, on the rear is highly adjustable for your shooting position. For example, you can change the length of pull by changing these discs out. You can loosen the stock, take them out, and you can shorten them or make them longer. The cheek piece is adjustable in height. You can put it to the back and you can put it to the front. There's this really beefy grip on by default, which you can also change out. And on the sides, on both sides of the rifle, there's a thumb rest. This thumb rest allows you to take a shooting position with your thumb on the right, allowing you to have no tension at all on the tendons in your wrist. This makes for a really comfortable and really precise shooting position. What do you get with the rifle? Of course, the rifle, no scope, no bipod, no weight, no suppressor. But you do get the case that I just showed you, the manual, very important, do read. The mini magazine that you get with the rifle as well. You also have some extras available, so if you're in a competition, you shoot your magazine, you want to quickly reload, take out a new one. Of course, you get the fill probe. The fill probe has some spare O-rings. If you want to take care of those O-rings, do put some silicone grease on them before you insert them into the rifle. And this is really interesting, you get an angled pressure gauge mount. This has actually been developed before for the FX Impact. This was a mount to mount your regulator on the side so you can see it while shooting. Really interesting, not my favorite upgrade, but an upgrade nonetheless. But for this one it's really interesting because if you turn the rifle around, there is a gauge here. This is not your regulator pressure, this is your fill pressure. So this is the pressure that's inside the tube. If you want to tune this rifle, change the way it shoots, change the way change the power output, you want to change your regulator pressure. If you want to see a video on how to do that, do make a note in the comments and I will put it on my future plans. But you do need to see what you're doing. So in order to do that, you do need a gauge that shows you the pressure inside of this plenum. Now there are a couple of ways to do that, but the best way is to mount this bracket. You put them here on the side, where the little screws, you mount the bracket, you insert the pressure gauge and you can suddenly see your pressure inside of your plenum. If you want to see a video on how to mount this one, do make a note. This allows you to see the regulator pressure while shooting. So you shoot, you see it go down, and go back up. Filling the FX DRS is really easy. You get the fill probe with the rifle. You can keep it in a spare bag, you can keep it in the rifle, but do make sure you don't get any dirt in here. On the back of the fill probe there is a Foster Quick Connect. You take your Foster Quick Connect, you insert the fill probe, and you insert the fill probe into your rifle. Do make sure everything is completely fitted correctly. You can open the valve on your scuba tank and let it go up really nice and slow. This bottle is only at 200 bars right now, but you go up to your allowed fill pressure, you close it back down and you bleed the hose. Always press the button a couple of extra times to make sure the hose is completely empty. And take the probe back out of the rifle. And now you can shoot again. Filling the magazine of the FX DRS is really easy. You take the knob, rotate it to the other side, take the lid off, rotate the inside, grab one pellet or one slug, whichever you need, put it in the first one, first chamber, and insert as many pellets as you like. Let's go for 5. There you go. Take the lid, put it back on, and you're done. If you're confused in which direction to load, your target doesn't need to know how many shots you have left, so the glass part or the plastic part goes to the back. Now if you've inserted the magazine inside your rifle, you pull the bolt to the rear, pull it back forward, you get one pellet inside of your magazine. You shoot, it's in the paper, perfect. Now if you do it a second time, and you do it for a third time without shooting, you have 2 pellets in your barrel. do watch out. This is a self-rotating magazine, and as with any other self-indexing magazine on any other airgun, you can double load them, double feed them, whichever you want to like to call it, and this can cause issues when shooting, so do watch out. If you think you've had an issue, or if you have a loading mistake, take out the magazine and check if your barrel is not full of pellets. Well, that's the main features. I think I've not forgotten anything yet. If I did, I will probably make a new video in the future, or I'll put some notes on the product page. Yeah, well, thank you for watching. If you have any questions, do leave them below. Do send us an email, or do send us a message on Facebook, Instagram. If you don't follow us on Facebook or Instagram, do follow us. We always post new products, we post updates on what we are doing. Well, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Hey, I'm Dirk from Airgunseurope.com.